The Gauteng Education Department is still trying to accommodate unplaced pupils for the 2020 school year. It's working with schools in high-pressure zones to increase classroom capacity. The department says more than 14,000 pupils must be placed by the November 30th deadline. Department spokesperson Steve Mabona joins us now in studio for more on the story. 14,000 pupils still to be placed. Are you worried?
Look, we are convinced that working very closely with the schools, which they will then increase capacity, because there are schools that when we approach them to say, can you increase capacity, they are reluctant, and you say, we're going to provide you with a mobile class, then they will say, no, probably we can improvise. They don't want probably, your mobile units. But there are some areas where mobile units will be inevitable because, in an area where you don't have enough schools, and the numbers are so high, we will then go back and provide them with mobile units and see on how we accommodate those learners that are not placed as yet.
But in the long term, that's not really sustainable, right? Because nobody wants to be in a mobile classroom.
But remember, we have identified those areas, and in our plans, we're going to build new schools there. Just that we have a backlog. You know that we have developing areas. I mean, developers are, moving ahead of us. They are building. And it's not everyone that can afford private schools when you look at all these developing areas. I mean, look at Fourways, Midrand, Pretoria East, all those areas, in the south, Johannesburg South. Those areas are developing, and you really need to have new schools there. But there's an area in Naturena where they have 2 primary schools, but they don't have a high school or a secondary. So we are actually pushing that, at least to accommodate. Temporarily, we need to expand the numbers in those schools that are not very far from them, because they don't have a school around there. They need to be accommodated one way or the other. So that's what we are looking at.
It sounds like you're in a fix, because you're going to have parents who are going to be hopping mad quite soon, because lots of parents would want their kids to go to a specific school, and as you know, it's not always possible. So what happens in the next 2 weeks when you're still sitting with learners who have not been placed?
No, definitely our deadline, we're going to meet our deadline, which is the 30th of November. But what we are doing as well, there are actually schools that have low numbers in the townships. We're going to convert those to English medium, because there are parents that will say, my child has been in a Model C school and you can't want to place them in a township. So we are saying we'll give them space where we have actually, changed those schools to English medium, afford educators there who are proficient in teaching in that language, and there should be an opportunity to do that. And hence we are saying in schools where you have single mediums that have actually low numbers as well, we're going to convert those to be English medium and accommodate, other learners there in those schools. And we know that in some quarters people want to fight with us, but if you don't have numbers in a school, really, there is no leg to stand on. I mean, you can't fight us, meanwhile you don't have numbers.
Steve, are you listening to yourself? You're saying some people might have to move from Model C schools to township schools where you're going to introduce teachers to teach in English. You're going to have people fighting with you.
No. Our best schools, we've invested a lot on township schools. I mean, remember, we've introduced our, ICT in our schools, and we started in the township. They are not there in the former Model Cs. They are not there in towns. They are in the townships. I mean, you look at for an example, a school called Unity in Davidton. That school, everyone wants to go there. I mean, they've received over 1,400 applications, and they can only accommodate 200. There are schools that are specializing in the townships, which everyone wants to go there. And all the schools that we are opening now in the townships, there's no one that does not want to go there. So the best is not in towns, like as people will then purport. I mean, best are where we have quality teaching. We have invested a lot in making sure that our learners are taught well.
Yeah. Did you not do the proper estimations in terms of the high demand that will come through this year for next year?
No, but remember, this year we are implementing new admission regulations, which is for 2020. And the emphasis is more on people that live or stay closer to the schools. So schools need to accommodate those first as a priority. Then they move to your siblings. And the third category, which is our challenge, those that work closer to those schools. a parent will say, I drive to work, I want to drop off my child when I'm going to work, and then when I come back, I will just fetch them. But it's difficult, because if people who reside, who stays there, they have then, fill up the school. So what must we do? So that's the problem actually we have. But hence we are saying, in all the high pressure areas, we have identified them. We're going to assist them with the mobile units for temporary, and make sure that those that can still increase the capacity, they will then have to increase the capacity.
Okay, you
class.
said all of these learners by the 30th will be placed. So on the 2nd of December, I'm inviting you back on the show. I'm going to ask you if that's happened.
We'll come back.
Thanks so much for that. Gauteng Education Department spokesperson Steve Mapona.